So good morning everybody who is here with us today. We are going to practice today together in community. That's Sangha, is spiritual community, and so excited to really be launching and growing this Soy Satya collective. And as many of you know, we've kind of been these last couple of weeks in a soft launch where we haven't done very much advertising, if any, just telling our friends and family. And Jen and I just ran our numbers, and after paying ourselves back for all of our investment, we're still in the black in the first 3 weeks of business. And so that's pretty cool. So I figured I'd share that all with you with this new platform that we're doing, both these live classes, but how these live classes feed into the Soy Satya yoga immersion that starts in November. And part of that, our crew of instructors here on this platform, we have an ongoing conversation, kind of just supporting each other and uplifting each other. And this past week with the full moon, we all came together and we were sharing words of inspiration, using this full moon energy to manifest abundance and growth in our life. So the reason why I share this with everybody here in our Sangha this morning is that the class that I've designed is to tap into that full moon energy. And just as the full moon pulls the tides of the oceans, the water, it does that within us too. And it really helps to illuminate what it is that we're trying to put forth in the world, illuminate maybe some scenarios that are on our plate and help us see that with more clarity. It's also very cleansing. And here we know water element is our sacral chakra, our Swadhisthana chakra. So that's our hip and sacral region, the pelvis, the hips, sacrum. And so today's class physically will really be focused on that area of the body, but it'd also be very fluid and hopefully inspirational. But it's my intention then to take kind of these words of inspiration that we as a team of instructors share with one another and weave that into class. We have a nice long guided relaxation and meditation at the end. So that's what we have in store. And just to bring in a little bit of what has been inspiring me in my personal practice recently is certainly all of these words of abundance and working with a team for sure. But really what has helped me is metta. And metta means loving kindness. And in order to offer loving kindness out in the world, we must fill up ourselves with loving kindness. And so I've really been working with mudra and mantra to invoke loving kindness. And so the loving kindness mantra is Loka Samasta Sukhi no Bhavantu. So I'll say that again. Loka Samasta Sukhi no Bhavantu. You can see I'm doing some mudras with my hands. So the mudras first is this one here, where we're just doing the fingertips real light, and as if we're holding a sphere, right? It's circular. And then we keep that sphere, but we just bring it all together. And you see how my thumbs aren't quite touching? There's a little bit of space between the thumbs and the index fingers, and the sides of the hands come together. So it looks like this. And then Sukhi no, this Sukhi, that's the sweetness, the sukha or ease of the practice. This is our inner smile. So pinkies up, these three fingers together. And then Bhavantu, Bhava, right here at heart center. Right hand is on the chest, left hand is on top. So feel free to chant along where we invoke. We're just gonna do a short chant and you can listen or join. It's up to you. But Loka Samasa Sukhi no Bhavantu, metta. What it says, the translation into English is, may all beings. And that means us, right? We are part of that. And so we must fill ourselves first. So we're included in that. May all beings be happy and free and healthy and at ease and at peace. And may my actions, deeds, and thoughts add to that. So again, it comes through us first, and it's also action, right? That's the karma, our choice. May my actions, deeds, and thoughts add to that peace within myself and with those around me. And then we can do that with this beautiful sound, the sacred sound of Sanskrit. So if you like, you can just find a comfortable shape to be in. And again, you could be in any shape that you want and just receive the sound vibrations, or you can chant along with me. So take a breath in and out. Just arrive here. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. 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 Just gently bring yourself on to your belly into crocodile pose. A few cues that I like to give in crocodile. First, I like to just wobble my hips. I like to bring my legs out wider than the mat, at least my feet. And I like to tuck my toe, and you can kind of see how I'm pressing my heel out, my thighs off. So I'm kind of leaning to the opposite side that my foot's tucked. And I press it to heel, it helps open up through my low back and hip. And then I externally rotate, and I might just do that a couple of times. And that really helps to ease into these SI joints, the low back and hips. Just do that on both sides. And then any lift of the elbows to help lift the rib cage and support the head in a way that's comfortable for you. So stacking the forearms, stacking the palms, or bringing the arms open. Choose what is the happy place for your head, neck, and shoulders. Forehead can be down or to one side. Eyes gently close. Dristi at the belly. Just focusing your awareness at the belly. We're not doing anything with the breath. We're just witnessing it easeful and quiet in and out of the nose. Resting dristi, our yogic one-pointed gaze, just at the belly. You might even tap into the sound vibration of our opening chant of metta, of loving kindness. And then expand your dristi beyond the belly into the whole torso. Just feel the whole torso breathe with ease. The natural rise and expansion of the inhale and easeful surrender on the exhale. If your head is turned to one side, you can switch it to even out neck and shoulders. And if you're noticing any stickiness or pauses to the breath, just rest your awareness in the out breath. Notice how that might aid in just adding a bit of smoothness to the breath, a ease and invitation to a continuous, unbroken stream. Imagining your favorite body of water, a lake, an ocean, a stream, a river, your favorite body of water that comes to mind right now. Whatever that motion of water might be, the stream that's continuously flowing, it might be the tides of the lake shore or ocean shore. And just as that water is in continuous motion, let that encourage the breath to be the same. So we eliminate any pauses or holds and use the favorite body of water to encourage this fluidity of breath. And then just slowly bring the palms to stack if they're not there already. And then walk the legs in to hip distance. And then with the forehead down on the hands or on the mat, whatever's most comfortable for you, just roll the head side to side. Give the forehead a massage. Any chatter, chitta in the mind that might still be present, kind of massage it with intention, but just release it into earth. And here we set our collective intention to practice together in this community of Satya, this community of truth seekers, of like-hearted souls here to support and lift each other up. And here we're using that light of the full, big bright moon as that unity here together as we unite from all different places and times into this very moment right now. And it's through this Sangha, this spiritual community of coming together, that we uplift and we support and we grow stronger together. So setting that intention to tap into the collective and be supported by that. And then release the forehead coming back and forth. We're just going to press up to hands and knees. Tuck the toes under. Tip the fingertips up. And then toes are tucked, knees are hip distance apart. And just send the hips back over the heels. And this is an active child's pose here, staying arms are lifted. And then just roll the shoulders. So there's some fluidity still here in the breath. You might feel some compression of belly and ribs against the thighs. If you'd like to bring in Ujjayi Pranayama, ocean breath, feel free to do so, right? Tapping into the water element of fluidity, ability to go with the flow, to release control, especially that's what's out of our control. And then come up. And then we're gonna let the hands come flat. And now we're in a modified plank. Bring the knees together. The feet can come flat. Feel the lengthening of the low back, but also engaging of ribs and hip bones drawing to each other. As you press out of the wrists, broaden the shoulder blades. And this is early in our movement, so just a real gentle side to side with the hips. This doesn't need to be anything big or bold, so always in these practices, first and foremost, you're listening to your body and you're adjusting in a way that serves you in each moment, moment to moment, that continuous curious check-in. So just another side to side here. And then open the knees out, hip distance or wider. And then we just come into real big hip rotations. So pushing back as you breathe out. And there's that microsecond of engagement as you come forward into modified plank. So fluid, full body movement. Hearing the sound of the ujjayi, ocean breath, guiding this exploration this morning. And the next time that you come forward, tuck the toes, just come into plank pose, bring the feet together, and again, gentle, gentle, side to side with the hips, just a time or two. So here, feel a little heat in the core, but still moving in the hips. And then softly place the knees down, and then come into your hip rotations in the opposite direction. With the head, neck, and shoulders, encouraging this to be full body participation. And then one more time, tuck the toes. This time palms stay flat and we press back. So we want to really still take an active child's pose here with the toes tucked. Feel the compression of belly and ribs on the thighs. Palms are pressing down and away as we feel the hips sink back over the feet and ankles. And you might wobble side to side. Feel a massage on your feet and lower body. Feel it in other areas. Let the head be heavy. And then come forward, tuck the toes, come back to down dog, and just take a moment here to move in a way that feels best in your body. Listen to a flow of breath and body. What is your body curious about this morning? What might it be asking for? Let's take a moment here to listen, move, and breathe. And that might even be stillness for you. And then we come into standing forward fold. So hands and feet come together. Elbows rest in opposite palms. Generous bend in the knees. And again, keeping with this warm up of continuous movement. Just sway side to side, wobble head yes and no. And then release. You're going to come into a halfway lift. You can choose wherever the hands go. Today I'm going to slide my hands underneath my big toe pad. I'm accessing this spot underneath the foot that helps us to ground and anchor. Sometimes during this full moon energy, we can feel a little ungrounded, or the tides might be pulling more than we are prepared for. So this can help ground. So the halfway lift, I might not come all the way up, but I'm still lengthening the low back, scooping in through my lower bandhas. As my chest comes forward, you can feel my shoulders draw back, chin drawing towards the back of the neck. So Mahabandha, all three energy locks here. And then fold, tracing spleen running as you come up. So fingertips on the inner big toe, tracing the inner line of the foot and legs. As you roll up, feel the low back lengthen, pelvic floor scoop in, tracing the hands up the front of the body to the shoulders, and then back down to the side body, and then just buzzing the lower outside ribs. Breathe the arms up. Exhale, weave a DNA figure eight pattern as you fold. So again, you might bring your hands underneath the feet. Maybe the fingertips come to the shins. Maybe they're back by the hips. So make this what your body would like this morning. Begin rolling on up, pressing through the feet, stacking vertebra by vertebra. Spleen trace helps us absorb and be nourished, right? Lunar energy is yin, it's the mother, it's the nourisher. And so when we trace this in our body, that's exactly what we're offering ourselves, that metta love, to nourish ourselves and to absorb that metta, to receive our own self-love. We'll do this standing sun salutation one more time. Ujjayi breath. We'll stay standing here. The feet can be hip distance apart or maybe even a little bit wider. We just come to some standing cow and cat in the chest. So big lift of the chest, and then just kind of this scooping and rounding forward. Feel the tail tuck, spine round. So with the sound of the breath and the pulse of the body, we tap into this inner rhythm, or pulsing with our inner tides. And as we continue with a continuous movement of breath and body, maybe still holding that body of water that came to you in our centering beginning part of class. Let that inspire this continuous movement for maybe another round or two of breath here. And then the next time that we rise up, let the hands come all the way up, palms pressing back, let the feet come directly underneath the hips, deep breath in, and then just lean over to one side. This lower arm presses into the body. We lift up with the sternum and then lean over, and you can have as much bend in this upper elbow as you wish. Pressing firmly into both feet. And then move over to the other side. Take a breath or two here. And then flow from side to side. Let the exhale and the inhale guide this exploration from side to side. And then release. We're going to come into a quick wake up. So we're just going to tap the chest. I'm using soft fists. You can use your fingertips. We're going to begin to shift the weight purposely from foot to foot. And I say purposely, so this isn't just a mindless sway. We're really becoming familiar with our foundation of feet, right? We still want to focus on being grounded here as we tap into that pool of our tides. So notice the trinity of each foot as you shift side to side. And here, Ujjayi breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth, just like you're fogging a mirror. Thump the sternum. The sternum lift. Lower outside ribs. Again, this is our spleen point. By tapping or buzzing, we're opening up this channel to absorb our own self-acceptance and love, to absorb it from one another in our collective. And then come to the orbital bone of the eye, tap or drum, going around the whole eye socket. Flip the hands down. Notice if anything disperses here. And then we just begin to kind of swing the arms from side to side, crossing a different arm on top. And then bring a bend in the elbows. So one time the arms are open, the other time they're bent. And then open the legs out wide. come into a squat here, hands on the thighs, just tilt forward. So if you can see here from my side view, I'm not rounding. So I have the intention of lengthening the lower back, drawing up pelvic floor and low belly, and I'm just tilting and hinging at the hips. So this way, the spine is stabilized with lower two bandhas, drawing up and in. Again, root lock, lower bandha is pelvic floor. Then the belly lock is just drawing the ribs and hips closer together. And then we twist, drawing one shoulder to opposite knee. Twist as you breathe out. Inhale as you lift to lengthen. So breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. One more time towards each knee. Full body participation here, anchored in the feet. And then come on up, take a 5-pointed star. Really spark the fingers. Feel the kneecaps lift, radiate that full moonlight. Feeling that come right from your center, radiating out. Bring the feet in just a little bit, maybe shoulder width or a little wider apart, and now they're parallel. Bring one hand on top of the other, and then come back into a squat, but this time, not so much hinging at the hips. We want the strength to really be in the legs. So feel the feet, feel the legs. Instead of that tilt forward, there's an upward motion of the chest. And then we inhale, draw the hands up to the mouth. Exhale, push the palms up and out. Inhale through the nostrils. Ujjayi out the mouth. One more time, stay standing. Just smooth the arms up and out. Feet now coming back underneath the hips. We seal it all in. Middle finger in the navel, the other in the center of the forehead. Press into the body, hook up to the ceiling. And then notice if we're hiking shoulders and elbows. Roll the shoulders, wobble elbows in towards the body, and let the press in, hook up, really just come from the hands. As you exhale all the way down through the soles of the feet, feel that anchor into earth. Inhale, feeling the breath draw the chest up, the roof of the mouth up, growing tall to the heavens above. What has shifted in you? What do you notice here? One more round of breath in and out, and as you exhale, soften through the hands. Let the hands come down by your side. Roll the shoulders just a few times here. Rolling back a few times, rolling forward a few times. And then hands come to the hips. You might step out a little bit wider and hip distance apart. And here we're just gonna make big circles. So we did this on our knees, and now we're doing it standing. What might be different in this orientation? Or what might be different now that we're a little more warmed up here, going in both directions? Okay. And then release. Feet back under the hip. We sweep arms up. Breathe as you fold. You choose halfway lift. Breathe out, fold, stepping back to downward dog. And here we're going to come into what is called snake dog. So snake dog, we're really focused on the lower body. So first the heels are going to lift, and this happens to most of us when we lift the heels. You can see how my body shifts forward, and now I'm more in my shoulders and upper body. So even though the heels lift, we're still lifting the tailbone up, spreading the sits bones, drawing up the pelvic floor and lower belly so that we lengthen the spine come out of the wrists and shoulders here, but the heels are still lifted. And then the knees bend, so they're hovering over the mat. But again, it's not a tabletop with a hover. We're still lifting the hips up. You might even feel the belly or ribs pressing against the thighs. And then we're just gonna spin the heels to one side, opening up on one side of the body. And then we'll spin them back to center, and then heels over to the other side. So this is a little bit more mechanical here of cues, but then from here, let it be fluid, meaning let this come intuitively from the inside out. So then where we can add on is maybe coming into a plank and then shifting back into that down dog variation. So snake dog, we're bringing in that fluidity of just exploring shape, maybe going into plank, maybe just staying back and down dog, and the slithering movement of a snake. So we're still moving with breath. Make this your own curiosity and exploration. We'll eventually make our way into cobra pose. So shifting into plank, always option to softly place knees down, coming down to the belly. In cobra again, I'd like to open up through the low back and hips. That's really helpful for me, and you might find that too. So lifting one leg, reaching it long, placing it down, and then pause. Notice. And then other leg lifts, lengthens, and joins. You might notice a little more equality now in the lower body. And then cobra 3 times. You choose whether you rise on the inhale or exhale, but feel the anchor of the low body. And then turning the head to one side as you lower. And just pulse a few times. Anytime you're called to breathe out of the mouth, do so. It helps to clear and create space for more illumination, more clarity, more inspiration. And then press up to hands and knees. Tuck the toes under, and again, press back to child's pose. Forehead is on something solid, and again, roll the head side to side, massage third eye, drishti at the third eye to see clearly. Just like if we're out taking a walk in the full moonlight, we can see our own shadow. There's so much light. So here we're massaging anything in the shadows, the chatter, the chitta, so we can see clearly. So we can be with ourselves with clarity, love, and acceptance. And then slowly come forward. So from hands and knees, we're going to come into a little series here. Again, focus on the hips. So knees come together. We extend the right leg long. And we're just going to do a couple pulses of lifting the right hip, stacking on the left. And we might come up to the right fingertips here. We're use a block. And then lower back down to parallel, feeling the outer hips hug into the midline. So just this lift and stack, lower down, just another time or two. And then look over the right shoulder, bring your leg and foot out to about a 45-degree angle, really flexing the foot. And as you breathe out, watch your foot and bring the knee towards the opposite elbow, scooping in. And do this a few times. The challenge is to keep watching your foot. So the eyesight on the foot, that is helping us with the grounding groundingness we need during this time to stay anchored and present. And then after a few times drawing in, we're going to then swing over to the left. I like to soften my elbows towards my hips because that allows my joints to have space. I'm externally rotating my shoulders so my chest and collarbone are broad, and then gaze back at the foot. And an option to find some movement forward and back with the heel if you like. And then shift the torso back to center, and then walk your left foot out towards the long edge of your mat. Lower the right knee behind the left, so our thighs are crossed. The left leg's on top of the right, and you walk the feet out towards the long edges of your mat. One more time, tent up on the fingertips, walk them in front a little bit, and then just shift the hips back to a comfortable degree for you, and then scoop up from lower bandhas, pelvic floor, low belly, shift you forward. Hands can be flat or tented, that's up to you. The exhale sends you back. You can feel the compression of the legs to the torso to really encourage the breath to fully exit the lungs. One more time. Shift the hips back. Walk the hands over to the right. Fingertips can be tented or flat. Chin is heavy towards the chest. And then walk the hands over to the left. Observing how the inhale meets the edges of sensation in the body. The exhale, a full release and let go. And then slowly come back to center. Uncross the legs, tuck toes, downward dog. Adho Mukha Shavasana. Again, if you want to bring movement inside to side, you can. If you want to just be in stillness, you can for a breath or two. Follow your next in-breath plank pose. Option for knees to be up or down, that's up to you. And then from plank, choices, you can come down to the belly for cobra. You can use the exhale to shift into upward facing dog. Again, listen to what your body is calling for. And then back to downward dog. And softly placing the knees down on the mat. Keep the toes tucked, just walk the hands in towards the knees. We're gonna sit on the feet just for a few moments here. Shake out the hands. Let them flop back and forth, side to side. And then interlace the hands behind the back. As you draw the hands down, feel the chest lift, and then come forward and bow. Again, compressing thighs and torso, forehead comes down. Arms can stay resting on the low back, or they can lift away from the body. You choose what's best for the upper body for you. And again, from lower bandhas, draw up pelvic floor and low belly. Come back up, sit back over the feet. One more time, release the hands, shake them out, maybe bring the elbows and shoulders in, and with an audible sigh out the mouth. Shake it out, and then come back to table, tap the top of the feet. And saving with sound. Excellent. So Knees come together. We're going to go through this sequence on the other side now. Left leg extends long. There's a hugging into the midline and a rising out of the wrists. And then just on your next inhale, lift the left hip, stack it on top of the right, and then lower it down, squeezing into midline. Lift and stack. Notice the right knee, shin, and foot. What micro adjustments can you make to palms? Whatever parts of the body are touching the floor of the mat. Micro adjustments for a firmer foundation. Once we've done that a couple of times, out to our 45-degree angle, really flex the foot. Feel the heel pressing away, the leg is strong. Exhale is a slow movement, knee to elbow. Notice if the eyesight wants to dart to the knee or the elbow. Can you commit to stay eyesight connected to the foot? This helps ground, anchor you into present. And after another time, cross over, toes connect. Again, elbows are soft, chest is broad, we gaze back, and if you want some movement back and forth, explore that. Deep breaths in and out. Ujjayi pranayama, encouraging that fluidity, not just of movement of body, but the fluidity of prana, of life force coursing through you. Okay, so we bring the torso back to center, start to walk the right foot out towards the left edge of the mat. Softly place the left knee down. As you can see, I'm kind of adjusting. So my knees are stacked in the center of the mat. My feet kind of walk out wide. Right thigh is now on top of the left. Hands come forward just a little bit. Your choice to tent or have hands flat. And again, follow your breath. The exhale slowly hinges you back. The inhale from lower two bandhas, scoop you forward, breathing in. Ocean breath, the sound of water, that continuous motion of your favorite body of water living within you, cleansing, purifying, rejuvenating. We'll do another breath or two here in this movement. See if you can slow it down just a little bit more. One more cycle. And then we'll unravel everything. Knees come to touch, toes tuck one more time. Send the hips back into this compressed child's pose. We have an option here for toes to remain tucked or flat. That's up to you, but keep the knees together. Tent the fingertips up, roll the shoulders. Again, notice what has shifted in your body. And then hands slide back to the feet. So we can stay here with the hands kind of just on the outsides of the feet, or we can come into hare or rabbit pose. So hare or rabbit, we make a commitment that there's very little weight, if any at all, on the very top of the head. So right now you can see I'm on my forehead and more on my hairline. As I lift my hips up, I'm scooping up through my lower bandhas. My chin tucks as much as I can. And a very little weight, I'm just floating on the top of my head. And I'm breathing fully into the backside of my body. You can have connection of hands on your heels, ankles, or calves, or you can just be in child's pose.
Plugging crown chakra right into the earth, opening up all energy centers on the back side of the body with your ujjayi, your ocean breath. If you're in Hare Rabbit, let the exhale softly bring the hips back down. Hands release. Let the breath fill up all the edges of the body. Full release and surrender. Exhale. Hands slide forward. Downward dog. Stepping the left foot forward and opening on up to a warrior two. So I cued the left foot. Here's the deal, it doesn't matter what foot's forward or not. What we want to do is be facing the long edge of the mat, because this next series will just be going from side to side. So some props that can be helpful here is a block on either side of the mat. And if you are working with a blanket, kind of having it open like this, and just have it to the side, because we're going to slide that into the knees when we come back down and close out our practice. But just so it's already kind of folded and you can slide it in at the end, so it's kind of helpful to prepare this way. So we're going to be open out here wide and come into a 5-pointed star. So fingertips spark, kneecaps lift, take a deep breath in, and then exhale, come into goddess. We'll pulse like this another time or two. Breathe in, radiate, breathe out, sink. One more time. So you choose your goddess. We're going to be here for some sound, right? Bringing back in our metta. Support yourself as you need. You can listen or join along. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Feel the beat of your heart, right hand on the chest, left hand on top. Mahabandha, feel the containment of your own prana with just a very gentle and energetic hold of the pelvic floor. Low belly, easy, drawing in to contain. And that length of the sides of the neck with the chin slightly drawing towards the back of the neck. Containing this life force coursing through you with love, light, appreciation, and acceptance. And then just straightening through the legs, reaching the arms up. Now we trace that beautiful circumference of the full moon, sweeping down and around. Big movements here. Ujjayi guiding you. Trace 3 times in each direction. After you've done 3 times in each direction, just let the arms come out to shoulder height. Bend the elbows, hands rest on the shoulders, and then just big circles with the elbows. Imagine you can touch your elbows in front of you and behind you. Some of us, we might, and it's going to be different for all of our body proportions, but just to get as much movement here in both directions. And then let the arms come back out. So not so concerned with left or right because we're going to do this to both sides, but warrior two. So we're going to pivot on one heel. The heel we pivot on, the toes pointing towards the short edge of the mat. The other foot, we're going to line the pinky edge of the foot with the short edge of the mat. Bending through the front knee. Warrior two. Our spine perpendicular to the ground. And then softly let the backhand rest on the back thigh. Reach up, exalt. We're reaching up to the moon. We're gathering up the lunar, feminine energy. Drinking in what nourishes you the most. Feel the inhale nourish you. Draw that nourishment all the way down to lower body through the soles of the feet as you anchor into your stability and strength. And then reach forward with your upper hand. That reaching forward helps to lengthen the spine. So we have the stability of the lower body from lower bandhas. This hand now, we can be on the elbow. Our block is here towards the top of the mat, so a hand can come to a block. Let the top hand rest on the hip and feel an external rotation of the shoulder. And then just move the head in a way that feels good. We can look down, side, and only if it's comfortable gazing up. So just explore with the head, neck, and shoulders here. And then just straighten through the front leg. We're in triangle. I like to walk my back foot in for a triangle and lift up a little bit. So I'm not so much on this downward trajectory. You can see I'm just pressing the back of the hand on my inner leg, or I can rest on the block here. And now reach that top arm up. Choose the gaze to be whatever is most comfortable and supportive for you. And then maybe some movement again, or maybe stillness. And pretend somebody has a hold of that top wrist, right? So feel that draw up from the top wrist, out and open. Let the feet shift back to center. This time, let the arms swing in front and back out. So we're making big circles with the arms, crossing a different arm in front, big circles here. And then just to the other side. So arms, shoulder height, pivot, warrior two to the other side. And then just check in with your feet. Toes forward, we want the knee stacked above the ankle or behind. Feel your radiance on the inhale. Feel the downward movement, anchoring down into gravity, into the stability and strength of the lower body. And then exalt. Softly place the hand down on the back leg. Reach up and receive. Communicating with Mother Moon here. Drinking in that soft moonlight. Feeling it fill up your entire vessel with this motherly love. This unconditional love. And then feel the top arm reach forward, lengthening the spine. Again, maybe the block on the other side is helpful. Elbow can be here. Keep the top hand on the hip and just feel the sternum lengthen, and out of that length, twisting on the axis, come to the spine. Strong in the legs, broad in the chest. and motion in the head. And then just straighten through the front leg. Triangle, adjust. You might slide the block in. You might walk the feet in. Top arm now reaches. You can keep movement in the neck or find what's most comfortable for you. And again, imagine your top wrist is the leader here. Lift up and out, come back to center. Shift the feet in here. Heel toe feet back in, stacking underneath the hips. Right hand to the chest, left hand on top of right. Eyes closed, return. Return to the beat of your heart. In this moment here, just tap in to the beat of your own heart. Joy, one of our teachers who guides a restorative yin nidra class on Wednesdays, a great cue the other week of allowing yourself to be breathed, to be breathed. What that means is, as the hands rest here on your chest, not just acknowledging the beat of your heart, but standing in the life force that is behind that beat, that is behind the breath. Right? The breath is body system that is automatic. And in this moment, we're not controlling it. We're just allowing it to be breathed. And by it, I mean you. By it, I mean us. The same life force that is behind your heartbeat is behind mine. When we pause and return, and we bring our drishti to this truth, all barriers are dissolved. Barriers of space, of time. And we stand here together in unity, in community. Ujjayi breath, hear the sound of your favorite body of water present in you, supporting you, giving you vitality, strength, renewing you in this very moment as you just be breathed. And just softly lower the hands down. So our last little bit here in standing before we come down to the mat is Ardha Chandrasana, balancing half moon. So we have our blocks on either side. And so when we come into half moon, the helpful position for the block is if we kind of look at our pinky toe, we're going to bring it just out in front of the pinky toe, maybe about like this. So the point being is that we want space for the torso or for the spine to be lengthened. So if the hip is stacked over the ankle, and we want the hand to come down to the block, the space between block and foot is the space of your torso. So if we're too far out, we're going to be tipping over and we don't have a solid foundation. We want to make sure that the hip is over the ankle and that the hand is underneath the shoulder. So that way we can lift and peel open, stacking top hip here. And same thing with the gaze, it can be down, straight ahead, or up. Top hand can be on the top hip. Doesn't matter which side you begin with, we're just gonna do both. And maybe the top arm lifts. There's lots of variations in balancing half moon. The top knee can bend and you can reach back, connect with the foot. So you choose your shape. Keep your drishti one pointed, so the eyesight isn't darting around, but rather one pointed gaze, feeling the fluidity of the breath rise and fall as it supports the shape in you. If you chose to connect with the top foot, softly release. Soften in the standing knee. Hand comes back to hip as we slowly lower the back foot down. Rise back up. Just pause here with the hands on the hips. And then make either circles or maybe this time a figure 8 pattern in the hips. Going in both directions. And then balancing half moon on the other side. So using the prop in a way that supports you, that gives you length in the spine. We're not on a downward trajectory of the upper body, so common misperception that we have to touch the floor. Really, the spine is parallel to the ground. Choose your shape that best supports you on this side. In balances, there's this balance between stira effort and sukha ease, but also that acceptedness of just wherever you are, right? To accept maybe some wobbliness and some patience to just be in this moment, just as you are. Feel the support of your breath. Again, if you do have the connection with the top foot, a gentle release. Hand to the hip, we slowly rise up again. One last time, find any movement in the hips, and there might be that sahasrasana, that just internal movement to move in a way that feels juicy and delightful in the body. Feel how much space and fluidity has come in through your practice here. And then from here, coming into Malasana squat pose, so toes are angled out, come down, you can support the sits bones with 1 or 2 blocks if that's helpful for you. And if the squat here is not agreeing with the body in any ways, always just come down into a cross-legged seat. So you choose what is best for your body. Palms together, the chest lift. Lower bandha here, we want to contain our prana. We don't want to squander and spill it out. And a gentle twist here, extending the right arm out. Lead with the left elbow. Maybe the arm stays bent, maybe it straightens. Equality in the feet. Softly coming back to center for a round of breath in. And opening out. Receiving the shape on the other side. And then one more time, back to center here. And softly coming down to the mat. Let the legs come out long, and then just balance the knees here. Tent the fingertips up, lift the chest here, balancing knees, and maybe windshield wide, bring the feet side to side. So from here, we're going to bring our blocks towards one short edge of the mat. If you're working with a blanket or towel, bring that in here. So I'm going to just demonstrate what our next shape is, and this might not be for every body, so you're going to make adjustments as necessary for you. So this is an upward dog variation here. Our bodies are nice and warm to receive this. Blocks are optional here, as is the blanket. Because it's a wide knee, I really like it to support the joint of the knee. So what it's going to be is we come back from a wide little child's pose. Hands can be on blocks or the mat. I scoop in from my lower body. So you can see I draw my pelvic floor in, then my low belly as I shift forward. So I'm stabilizing my pelvis and low back. And as I lower the hips forward and down, feet draw in, and I lift up into an upward dog variation. Notice my elbows are soft. They're not sinking into my shoulders, but rather lifting out. The low back is lengthened. My lower two bond is drawing up and into stabilize. And then to come back, same thing. I draw in my pelvic floor, low belly, and then softly come back to child's pose, where I allow and encourage the in-breath to fill up the edges of my shape of the sacred vessel here. And you can come in and out of this another time or two. And of course, any cobra or upward dog that is just right for you this morning. And maybe what that means is it's just child's pose. So here, this is the intuitive nature of Mother Moon. Right? Our yin side of ourselves, our lunar side is the intuition. So listen and be guided by what your body needs and is asking for. If you are moving back and forth between child and up dog or cobra, one more round here. And once you come back into a child's pose, we're going to take a twisted child's here in the upper body. So just slide the right hand under, lower down to the right shoulder. The left hand can stay active, pressing on the block, maybe rolling the shoulder a few times. You might bring the palm or even the back of the hand to the low back or opposite hip. A little trick that might be helpful for you is just to tuck the fingertips into the waistband of your pants. That might be helpful to keep the hand in place if it's sliding out. And here we just breathe fully, deeply, and completely. In our up dog cobra, we are opening the heart to possibilities. And now in this restorative twist, we integrate that into our being. So breathing in integration of possibility, of abundant flow, of presence and acceptance. Integrating the metta of loving kindness into your whole being, all koshas, all layers of your being. Breathe here. One more full round of breath. Slowly bring the top hand right in front of the gaze. Use the strength of the top hand of slight drawing up of the lower bandhas as we lead with the right elbow and press up, and then just make some motion in the top shoulder. Drishti is right behind the shoulder blade, closest to the spine. So we encourage the movement of the circles or figure eights to come from that space. And then Again, maybe hand comes to the block. We're going to slide the left hand through, just finding our twist on the other side. You can take this more active shape, or back of the hand into low back, waistband, or maybe even opposite thigh. Be curious about the differences in sensation on this side. Curiosity is such a powerful emotion to invoke, not just in our yoga practice on the mat, but in all areas of life. It's what helps dissolve our imprints of needing things to be a certain way. It very easily dissolves judgment and labels. It opens us up to more clarity, possibility, and abundance. Curiously observe, notice how your ujjayi breath is cleansing and purifying on the exhale, nourishing as you breathe in. Observe how the nourishing inhale meets the edges of sensation in your body. Grabbing any last bit of stickiness or tension, and as you breathe out, a total surrender into gravity. Maybe even exhaling out the mouth. Another time or two in this shape. And then bringing the top hand down in front of the gaze. Use the top hand to draw in, lead with the elbow, rise up, and then movement here. Figure 8 circles. The gaze is in a comfortable place. Dristi, closest to the spine. Let these muscles be the origin of the movement. And release. Come back to a seat. Let the feet come flat onto the mat, wide on the long edges of the mat. You can tint up on the fingertips behind you, or palms can be here, and just side to side with the knees. And next time the knees come to the right, sweep the left arm around, even straighten through the left leg. And slowly, other side. And then come back around to center. So your blanket then can roll up another time or two, opening out long ways like so. Now you have options. You can sit on the blanket, or you can bring the blanket underneath the knees and maybe even fold it over if we need more space for the knees in this wide leg seat. If you have any tug or pull on the back side of the body, sit up on the blanket. It helps relieve any tug and pull on the back line of the body. That can be on the legs or the hips or the back. So you choose, you can use the blanket to sit on or support underneath your knees. And we're just gonna stir the hips a little bit here. Going in both directions. And then we're gonna come into a forward fold here. Blocks can be used here if you have other props like bolsters or pillows, you can use that too. But we're gonna first lift through the chest, and then we're gonna hinge to what we call our growing edge. And our growing edge is where the back wants to round. And then we're gonna breathe one more time here. We're gonna peak the in-breath out the chest, out the roof of the mouth, and then allow ourselves to round forward. So you can see I'm using the blocks here for my elbows and forearms. You can have them at any level. You can even stack the blocks and maybe bring them for the forehead. So this is our creative moment to just play with props. So the upper body is supported in some way. If the hands come down here, and we can access the face comfortably, you can rub the palms together and bring the heel of the hand to the lower eye socket, fingertips to touch. Just receiving this prana in the eyes. Ujjayi breath. Imagining your favorite body of water. And just as that water has its own continuous flow, feel that natural rhythm of breath in you. Cleansing and purifying, rejuvenating and revitalizing. Water, the origin of life. In this moment, ask yourself, where in my life can I release the grip of control? Where am I trying to control that which is outside of myself? And part of that control can look like desire for things to be different than they are. We're in a place of struggle, uncertainty, where we are focused on events, people outside of ourselves, as if that will hinder our own happiness and well-being. It's a place to really allow this light of the moon to illuminate. Where are you focused outside of yourself for your own well-being? What scenarios or situations are you wishing to be different as you have attached your well-being to those events or people? Can you just be with this continuous stream of breath and water to soften the hold and to turn inward? And then slowly rise back up. Set your props aside. Slide the legs in and then just give yourself a hug. Just round here, chin to chest. This hug holding the intention of your practice of connection, not just with this collective community, but in this kind of seated child, is this connection to you. The you that is beyond ego and identity, but that higher self, the Atman self. The self that led you to your practice today. And slowly release. We're going to come down onto the back side of the body. And then have any props that you might need for our relaxation here. If you do choose something underneath the head, just make sure that it's neutral. It's not so high up that the chin's tucking in to the chest. If you want any other movement, we'll have about a minute here for any last movement here in the back. That might be hugging the knees into the chest, can be really lovely for the spine, a happy baby. I typically always bring this one into my practice as it helps my spine to neutralize, my hips to be open and free. I can get into my ankles, but I'm also receiving the benefits of a inversion as the blood reverses from my feet and hands down to my heart and head.
Maybe a gentle supine twist might be here. So I'm just offering suggestions that are typically what my body is asking for. So you listen. Again, it's that intuitive nature of the moon to guide. Take another moment or two here. So if you did twist, be sure to even that out. Do both sides. And then whatever props you might need for relaxation, support the backs of the knees. Any tuck of the shoulder blades or wobble in the body, you can take that here. So as you settle into your shape of comfort, I'm going to come to a seat to direct the rest of the class. Allow your eyes to close. Tap the tongue on the roof of the mouth 3 times. We're going to use the sound of the singing bowl, which resonates with Anahata chakra, the heart center, the epicenter of metta, of loving kindness. This last phase of total relaxation, holding the intention to remain present with the ease and natural rhythm of your breath. Using the sound vibration of the bowl to scan the body. And the scan is just to rest your drishti in each body part that I guide you to. Beginning with the very top of the head. Intention of presence, but also metta, loving kindness with your drishti. Moving down the face and the jaw. The neck and the shoulders. The arms and the hands. Chest and ribs. The abdomen and all the contents inside. The hips and the whole pelvis. All the contents inside. Loving kindness with your drishti. The thighs. The lower legs. The soles of the feet and tips of the toes. Knees. glutes, low back, mid back, backside of Anahata, loving kindness, upper back, drawing in these sound vibrations resonating with heart center, now into the very inside of your chest, into your own center point of Anahata. All these sound vibrations move up through the throat center, inside your throat, even inside your mouth. Sound vibration resonating from inside your mouth, the inside of the ear canals. Now resting this drishti of loving kindness right in the third eye, between the brows. Back up to the crown of the head as it now fountains a torus pattern on the whole body. And back up through the root, up the center of the body, out the crown of the head. This is the torus pattern, or the electromagnetic patterning of the heart. All the sound and the felt sense of loving kindness fill you up from the inside out, embracing all aspects and dimensions of your being. Beginning to welcome movement slowly back into the body. Just be at your own pace, slow and mindful, beginning with the extremities of hands and feet, arms and legs. Beginning a full body stretch that you are called to. And as you gently draw the knees into the chest with the intention of love and gratitude to you. You that is this sacred physical vessel, the you that is the Atman who has chosen this practice. And gently rolling over to a side of your choice and coming up to a comfortable seat. Or we'll close in sound again, feeling it in loving kindness. And again, you can follow along with the shapes of the hands and or the sound, or just sit and receive. So again, this mantra is, may all beings be free of suffering. May they be happy and well, peaceful and at ease, healthy and safe. And may my actions, words, and deeds contribute to all of that, right? And this is not to forget that you are part of the all beings. So you fill up your soul tank first, and then it radiates out to this inspiring community of Satya here. This community of truth seekers, of Dharma dwellers, supporting and rising each other up. And then out beyond that to your loved ones, your community, and our world and planet at large. But first, it must come to ourselves first. And that's what these shapes of the hands and sound vibrations carry. So breathe in and out to prepare. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. 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 With the right hand flat on your chest and left hand on top of the chin, softly lower, bowing inward to your inner light. To be breathed by the life force that is behind the beat of your heart. The life force that is benevolent and all-knowing, that is behind this very breath you are giving and receiving. It is the same life force that is animating me, that is animating you. When we bow and say namaste, we are acknowledging that this life force is the same and we are one. Namaste.